Roll call, please.
Barr,
Here.
Giovanini,
Here.
Eckhoff,
Here.
Pallas, Lee,
Here.
Hauser,
Here.
Bradshaw,
Here.
Cranford,
Here.
Howard,
Here.
Willie.
Here.
Thank you. Being the first meeting of the month, we have to call a meeting of the Civic Center Authority, and with no business before the Civic Center Authority, we'll adjourn that meeting and move on to the consent agenda, which has 2 items.
I'll motion acceptance of the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Jamie. Roll call, please.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie.
Yes.
Thank you. On to the regular agenda. Item A is the farmer's market update. I see Misty is up at the podium.
How are y'all?
Wonderful.
Good.
Thank you.
I just have a quick update because we have a big meeting coming up this week for our farmers market. We're going to have an information meeting on Thursday, the 7th, at 7 o'clock at the Eagle. Gene Burnett's still going to be our market manager, and so he will be there. The health department will be there. Just wanted to give you, we're trying to really grow our market. We've sent out invitations to approximately 125 farms and other people that we want to participate, 4-H groups, FFA, other things like that. We have changed the hours of our market to be consistently 8 a.m. to noon, the entire market. We feel like that's probably best practice, because if we're going to try to invite people from a further distance, that gives them a better time frame. And I personally feel like if I'm programming things in the front yard of my businesses, that's most important, is how it affects our businesses. And I know the first 2 hours of the market are typically the busiest. So moving it up to 8 o'clock start time, I have a better option of letting my businesses know, hey, maybe back up your start time to like 9 a.m. so that you're at least being open during the busiest 2 hours of the market, and giving them a better option instead of just saying, come in at 7. I don't think that that's going to be sold very easily. So we also are going to have different options. We're asking people to host our market. I'm looking for a bell so that we can ring the market bell and have hosts for the market. Someone that will have information about who's there, about tourism things, about city things that are happening for the weekend, and also information if whatever group is hosting, 4-H clubs, FFA, if they want to put things out there, then we want them to, invite all of their people and come to the market. Another thing that we're adding is a Try It Today tent. This program, we were going to ask for the street closure of Washington Street for the entire market season on Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 3, to put up a tent, and also to allow for other vendors to be set up in that area that might need to vend out of a vehicle. If such, I have some that are like, yes, we want to come, but we're going to stack all of our stuff in our vehicle, and we're not going to want to unload all of that stuff. But the Try It Today tent is going to be our educational area for the market. I know there's a 4-point approach that you probably all have heard about Main Street, but I feel like our Main Street has that 5th point, and that is community give back. We have to have a really good positive impact on our community. So the Try It Today tent is going to have a host option. We have some hosts that have already signed up, where they also will just kind of help make sure their program goes, and if people need chairs or directions or what they're doing, and also to introduce whoever's programming. But then our programmers will be people that have skills they want to show off. I know that I have a farm signed up, Brian Severson's farm. He's going to show kids how to take grain and grind it and make bread and do all that good stuff, and show them just how the process. But we're getting people that want to show knitting and canning and yoga and mower maintenance and composting and how to smoke meat. How do you do it? Anything that someone says, hey, I have this skill, then yeah, come showcase how to do it, because I'd like to knit. I don't know squat about my mower. I would like to know that. Try disc golf, try yoga, those sort of things. We really want people to come down and feel like if there's something that they want to learn, they can throw it out there. Hey, we'd like to learn how to do this. Can you find someone to show us, and we can try it today? So that's going to be one of our big initiatives in that block, and a nice place for people to, learn who knows how to do things in the community and network. And the biggest thing that we're asking is people that want to come down and teach something or to host something. They do a customer share. Tell your people you're going to be there. Invite your people to come down. If you're coming and you're a farm, send out something that says, hey, I'm coming down to this market this day and I'll give you 10% off or something. So we're really going to talk about the tent at our informational meeting, but we're also going to talk really big about how we're going to get all these organizations to come together and share their customers and who's part of them and get them down there. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think that we will have, it'll be a slow process to grow, but I'm pretty confident that this will just be the start of it. The more we can get and the more farms that we get to participate and vendors, then we can go further to get like SNAP benefits to be able to use that at our market as a whole. Some of the farms that are coming have that option just for their booth and they know how to handle all of that, but we would eventually like to have enough that our market is so big that we want to be able to implement that as well. So, and I really would like for you to let me close Washington Street 7 a.m. to 3 Saturdays, June through October for this. So that's what I'm asking.
So that would be our first item on the street closures, would be that Washington Street for the farmer's market, and then you'll see in your package you got a few others as well. So you can either do them all together or if you want to do this one alone.
Well, why don't we hear about the others? Liz?
Okay, I have some additional. Good evening. The first memo that you have in your packet is just in regards to the Swinging Bridges Arts Festival. Those are a couple of street closures that similar to what we've requested in the past. The second memo is in regards to cruise nights. So previously cruise nights, there was traffic allowed on Mill Street from Water to Washington, and then the traffic was rerouted the opposite direction on Washington Street, so people were going the wrong way from what they were used to. So we are asking, just in internal conversations, we thought maybe for safety's sake, since the same needs maybe aren't in that area, that we could close Mill Street at Washington Street. So that's in this memo, that's laid out here. And then also similar for the GTOAA All Pontiac Regional Show. Anybody have any questions about that?
I think you meant Millet Water.
Let me try that again. Millet Water. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like confused about that. I make a motion that we accept all of the street closures requested for the summer.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the street closures, including the farmer's market, for the summer as proposed. Motion by Kelly, seconded by Barb. Roll call, please.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff.
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr.
Yes.
Thank you. Liz, you want to talk about Centennial Plaza?
Sure. So we've kind of discussed already the idea of turning the parking lot behind the old City Hall into our Centennial Plaza. I'd like to say the word plaza, not park, because it has a different connotation to it. So it's going to be a gathering space, a space for, overflow, but then also it's that we'll be able to program, have things going on, things to do, but you'll still be able to safely drive your car up and get the quintessential photo op that everybody goes to do back there. So we, in discussions, thought maybe it might be a good idea to try it this summer. Hannah, oh, there we go. It's on. All right. So Hannah has a couple slides here. Let's go ahead and go to the next one, Hannah. hopefully you can all see that graphic okay. So the initial lot closure is just going to be to get people used to it. And we have it mapped out here where you can kind of see where it's going to be. It's hard to talk into this and look at that. So there will be an entrance off of Main Street. You'll still be able to drive through. And then still be able to utilize the alleyway. We thought initially, just again, to get this, to get everybody used to this, we would go ahead and go to the next slide, Hannah. We would utilize some of our barricades, but maybe spruce them up a little bit with some signage that just lets people know this is coming soon, this is what we're doing, and then that way, just so for safety purposes, but then also if we have a reason or a need to have to take down the barricades, that would be easy if we needed that space for something else this summer before we move into actual physical plans of what we're going to do when we decide upon that. So, do anybody have any questions about that?
That little drive-through, what was that? Is that for like deliveries and things? That little drive-through with?
For the mural.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, for people to still be able to take their picture at the mural.
Liz, we talked about a covering for the land yacht. Is that somewhere in the works, or?
Yeah, that's definitely part of the discussions that we're having when we're talking through what potentially might happen in that area and that space back there. That's a big part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
With the HC Destinations, have you done anything with their grant process that they have?
That has not opened and started yet, so it'll be the next cycle
Okay.
that'll come through, yeah.
This is all in preparation for the
Gotcha.
Route 66 Centennial, which is coming up in '26.
Yeah, a couple quick notes on it is that this does gives us the opportunity to be 100% prepared for when that grant does drop. In addition to that, it gives us the opportunity to work through any logistical issues, dumpsters, things like that with some of the businesses back there. Gives us time to work through that and then involve our stakeholders with the actual plans of what this might look like.
And we have had a couple of events where we've used it as a gathering place. Certainly has worked out well. So we have high hopes of this being a real draw for the next 2 years anyhow.
Okay, so I would like to ask permission that we go ahead and move forward with that for the summer.
Well, I'd make a motion to
We have
accept
a
that.
motion from John Willie,
Take the second then.
second from Mike Barr. Roll call, please.
Eckhoff?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Hauser?
Yes.
Bradshaw?
Yes.
Cranford?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Willie?
Yes.
Barr?
Yes.
Jovanini?
Yes.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Moving on, we have a new lineup for daily golf rates from the Oaks at River's Edge. And I think Gary has got this all laid out for us.
Good evening. Yes, you should have in your packet, the rates that we're looking to propose for this coming season effective April 1. The rates across the board go up $5. We still will keep the dynamic pricing with mornings being our top priority hours or focus group or focus area time zone for high traffic golfers, and then as we get closer to the evening, those drop down a bit. Also, the 9 holes would go from $24 to $28. So I would look to your approval to begin that April 1.
You got a lot of people playing right now.
We have had a bunch of people out, so the weather's been cooperative in that.
And these rates include carts, I take it?
Yes.
Good.
I'll make a motion. We accept.
A second.
Motion by Scott and seconded by Barb. Roll call, please.
Lee?
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Becker.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
There you go. Thanks, Gary. Next, we have ordinance 2024-005, EMS M&C for ambulance billing.
Our chief's got it.
Jake, are you ready?
Good evening, Council. So within the past couple of months, we were notified by Andre's Medical Billing that they had been bought out by another parent company. And through that transition, we've been working with them to get everything moved over. Seems to be a very good company. One benefit of doing all this is they offer additional services. And one of those additional services that Andres did not offer is they also have a company underneath their umbrella that offers collections. It's something that we've discussed over the years, but never took action because it was a third party. But through this new company, they offer this part of their process. So Jim and I had a phone conference with one of the lead representatives from the new company, and we asked several questions just to make sure that when we pursued this process, it was in the best interest of the city of Pontiac, as well as still not to the point where we're harassing citizens to collect EMS billing. I think the overall impression was it seemed like a very fair process. A couple highlights of that is they do not take anybody to court. It's not that type of collection agency. And also, none of this counts towards their credit score if they are at defer of not any type of payment. It's more of a process that once it goes through the billing cycle, which is 120 days, it just doesn't drop off the books. That's, at this point in time, the company underneath this umbrella steps in and takes over the process of the billing, and they'll start doing follow-up calls, sending letters, and basically trying to work with the patient to see if there's any way they can come up with some type of payment plan, so that way it's just not written off completely. So we thought it was a fair process. Some of the financials associated with it, they only collect 20% of what they collect, so there's no additional billing. Because they are associated with the company that we're switching over to, they guarantee that our current rate, which is $22 per call for Andre's services, they're willing to extend that contract and lock that rate in for another additional 3 years. Which a little bit, since we've been in this game, we know every time the contract comes up, that billing company is going to ask for more and more. So we thought that was a very fair process as far as the switch over, as well as offering this additional service. So they drafted a ordinance that is a model one that they use with most of their agencies. When we explored this a couple of years ago, the majority of the agencies that surround us do utilize some type of collection agency. This was something that was definitely utilized prior to us taking over the ambulance service from the previous company that did this. So we think it's something we should pursue, so that way we're exercising every effort to collect on the billing process. So they drafted an ordinance, Jim reviewed it. Has Alan had a chance to review it? Yep. So I believe it's fair to say we're comfortable with it, so we bring it to you before the council tonight to see if we can, one, extend the contract with the new company for 3 years and lock in that $22 per call rate that they charge us, as well as take on the new service of collections. So any questions?
Are there any higher rates for the collection service? Or is it flat out $22 per call and then?
Just flat out 20%.
And that's part of their service then?
That's part of their service, correct. Yep. There's no additional hidden cost or anything like that, so.
Okay.
If they don't collect anything, there's no fee for it.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 24-005.
Second.
Just one quick question. Is there some additional data that you collect through these folks?
As far as
Patient data?
yeah, so one thing they do through their billing service, which is very much similar to Andre's, they do their due diligence of trying to make sure that they're finding the right information for the patient as well as the right insurance. We also have a little built-in internal system with Stephanie. She does a little bit of check and balance before it would have moved on and dropped off the books in the past, we're still going to keep Stephanie in play and be the middle person before it goes on to the collection agency. So we really have a 3-step process versus a 2-step process in there to try to maximize getting a hold of the patient, number one, and make sure that they have the right type of insurance to try to collect everything we can. So
Okay, thank you.
Are collections a problem?
collections as far as billing process,
Or collections as far as you collecting, the city collecting their,
it's from the national average, we collect just as much as anybody else. I can't give you that percentage, but when we were studying, doing comparisons and talking to the billing company, I said, are we far off with every other customer? And they said, you're spot on. This is how it is in your type of city and demographic. So we're collecting everything we potentially can. This is just one more step to try to make sure we can, there's nothing else after this step as far as trying to collect what we can. So.
Okay. We do have a motion. Jerry. Motion from Jamie, second by Jerry to approve the extension and rate. Roll call, please.
Hauser,
Yes.
Bradshaw. Yes. Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee.
Yes. Thanks, Jake.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much. Moving on, item F, zoning change, special use permit, and variance for Purple Finch Solar. I believe Seth would like to say a couple words for us.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that opportunity. Good evening. My name again is Seth Uphoff, and I'm here with the team from Trajectory Energy Partners, which is an Illinois-based community solar developer, owner, and operator. And they are bringing for your consideration a project called Purple Finch Solar. Hopefully all of you got an opportunity to get the pamphlet that has some of the materials that were presented at the zoning board. And if you have that packet, on the right-hand side of that, there should be a stapled set of papers. Looks like this. It's the slideshow that we went through in front of the zoning board. And as you look through that, you can see some of the items that I'll be referencing as we go through this. But just wanted to give you a quick recap of the evidence that was presented to the zoning board so that you can make an informed decision this evening in relation to this particular project. So Purple Finch Solar, if you want to see a site plan layout, you can either jump back to page 21, or I think you could start at, I believe, page 13 has a site plan on there, or page 7 even. Purple Finch is a 2-megawatt solar project that's being developed with OSF on OSF property just south of the hospital at St. James there. When you look at the layout on page, let's say 7, you'll see how the project lays out around the existing facility out there. That's the Goldwater Nursing Facility. And in addition to what you'll see here in terms of the project layout, there's a couple of other things that I would just point out that were discussed during the zoning board presentation. One of those is that the fencing around this is going to be what they refer to as farm-style fencing. So it's not going to be typical chain link. It's going to be more farm-style. It's kind of squared, mesh-woven fencing. Typically like you'd see on farm properties. It'll have wooden posts, so it seems like a little bit more of a rural fence setting rather than the typical chain link fence you might see. In terms of screening, when you're looking at the site plan out west of the facility, so towards the left-hand side of the page, there's existing there currently 6 rows of evergreen trees that were planted as a screen and a windbreak. Those trees are currently at about 6 feet high. They anticipate those will grow to 20 to 25 feet. And the way that those are all spaced out there, eventually those trees will obscure the western view, but also certainly obscure this project because the height of these panels likely won't exceed 12 feet. Your ordinance is 15 feet. They certainly won't exceed that. But right now, I think the panels they're anticipating using will be around 12 feet. So the trees out there will quickly grow to obscure that view to the west. Then to the south, you'll see on that site plan, there's a green line, thicker green line. That's additional vegetative screening that's being planned for that southern portion of the project. That'll have native shrubs and small trees that are used out there, native to Illinois. And then throughout the entirety of the project site, there will be native pollinators that are used. It's going to be a pollinator site, and if you go to page 11, you can see some examples of what those look like once they're fully put into place. Takes a couple years to get those in place, but once they are, you have a much prettier scene than you would at some other locations. In relation to the project, it meets all of your ordinance requirements, save for a couple of small variances. The variances that are requested were being requested to accommodate the existing facility out there. So the variances are to move the project 25 feet closer to the property line on the north, the west, and the southern sides. So it would go from a 50-foot setback to a 25-foot setback. Those are the neighboring property to the north is OSF's property, so they have no objection to that. To the west and the south, it's currently farmed property, and so going from 50 feet to 25 feet, we would assert doesn't make a big difference for the neighbors there. There's still plenty of room to go through and mow and maintain the areas between the fence and the neighboring farm properties. And those variances, like I said, were to allow the project to shift as far to the west and the south as possible to give it as wide a berth as possible to the neighbor there to the northeast. So there are some variances, but we believe they're minimal, and they are to account for the neighbor. And those variances were the result of communications with that neighbor and community outreach. And Trajectory has been working hard to not only accommodate the neighbor's requests, but to also ingratiate themselves and become a community partner with Pontiac. They've been working hard. If you go to pages 16, 17, and 18, it outlines all the work Trajectory has been doing here in Pontiac. They've been becoming members of the chamber. They've been going to a lot of meetings, providing education. They're really working hard to become a member of the Pontiac community. And you'll see that's been noticed by some of the organizations because there are letters of support that were also put into the folder. As you go through that folder, you can find those letters, and there was even testimony from a local business at the zoning board in support of Trajectory and their projects going forward. So that community outreach has been important, not only because Trajectory wants to be a good partner, but OSF wants to continue to be a good partner with the community, and that outreach was also on their behalf because they're partnering here. This is an opportunity to work with OSF to try to provide some benefits to them utilizing their own land. They have an opportunity here to reduce some costs for themselves and to gather some income, and anything that we can do to support rural local hospitals I think is a benefit for the community, not only for patient care but also for the employment that the hospital provides. So there are certainly benefits that are provided by this project. The benefits to OSF, the benefits to the community in relation to OSF, but there's additional benefits. There's the environmental benefits. You have the clean renewable energy. You've got the pollinator habitat out there to try to help some of the pollinator issues that we run into across the country. You may have heard stories about bee populations and things like that, and those pollinators are important to all of our agriculture. Additionally, there's additional habitat for upland game and small birds. And then it's a reduction in the use of pesticides. Now, it's a small area, granted, but any time that we can try to reduce the amount of pesticides that are being used around the area, I think it's a benefit for all of us. And if you look on page 19, it goes through some of those benefits as well. And that's in addition to the economic benefits. So the economic benefits, as we talked about, there are economic benefits for OSF, but also for local subscribers. So local subscribers can subscribe to this program and get discounts on their electric bills every month. And that's one of the reasons why some of the community support is in here, because it's an opportunity for individuals of lesser means to try to find ways to save additional money each month. Every little bit can help, especially for some of those in our community. And one of the big tax burden, or excuse me, not burdens, one of the big tax increases, I should say, is for the taxing bodies, in particular the schools. So for Pontiac Grade School, over the life of this project, they would anticipate getting approximately $135,000, and for Pontiac High School, an additional $94,000. It's spread out over a lot of years, no doubt, but nevertheless, again, when we're talking about our schools, every little bit helps. And one thing to keep in mind about these tax increases for all these taxing bodies is that there's no additional burdens that come along with it. There's no additional city infrastructure. There's no additional students in the schools that they have to accommodate. You're getting all of that additional tax benefit without any additional burdens on the system. So all the benefits, none of the burdens. And lastly, as I would want to cover, and I think is always important to consider in these zoning situations, is you've got to consider the rights of the landowner. So OSF owns this land. They would like to utilize it in a way that benefits them as much as possible, and while also benefiting the community. They're putting in place and proposing a project here that is not going to actually be harmful to any of the neighbors. There's no noise pollution, there's no sound pollution, there's no dust. This is just a quiet neighbor that sits idly by the side, and in a few years, when the screening has grown up, it'll likely be very invisible to the neighbors. So all those things considered, I think that property owners should have a right to be able to utilize their property to the fullest extent possible, as long as they're not harming their neighbors. And here, I think the evidence shows they're not harming the neighbors. And so therefore, I think you should give a lot of weight to that ownership right that OSF has. So that's a recap of the evidence that was presented to the zoning board. The zoning board voted to approve and recommend this project to you. And so with all that evidence and all of the information that we provided, I would respectfully request that you approve the Purple Finch Solar Project. Thank you.
Thanks for your update. I think we've all had an opportunity to review the zoning board meeting and all the other information that's come through to us. I understand that we do have an objector here who would like to speak, and I thought we would give them an opportunity if from Goldwater. See Alders.
Before I sit down, Mr. Giovannini had his hand up. I didn't know whether you would want me to respond to that or whether you want me to wait.
He probably doesn't want you to respond to it.
Yeah.
City Council members, good evening. Mir stopped by my office today, Mir Katzenstein, who is the owner of Goldwater Care. My name is Rick Hyatt. I helped develop the Good Samaritan Pontiac facility and am very, very intimately acquainted with its layout, design, and all the purposes that went into there. It's a one-story building. It was very much laid out so that there was constant whys, so every room had visibility to the outside. When you are a senior member of the community and need those kind of services, there's basically about three things that are important to you. One is to sleep comfortably, have a meal, and observe activity. The road is very important to the residents. The activity, mowing, people working outside, field operations, farmers, etc. That's all important to them, and that is their life. We, as Pontiac, Good Samaritan, had the option to purchase the additional ground when we signed the contract and built the nursing home. Economics would allow us to do that, and we had a 3-year option. I continued, to the benefit of OSF, to continue to rent the land and farm it, which provided us an opportunity to maybe have an opportunity to buy it down the road if economics worked its way out. Mir Katzenstein is interested in buying the property. That may be a moot point now, I don't know. But anyway, he is very interested. My lease terminated to farm the land with OSF in the fall of 23. So this is the first year that we don't have the lease on it. When I approached the real estate division, they said, well, let's get back to you. And then really kind of fell on deaf ears and we didn't hear anything. So Mir is not opposed to solar. He is not opposed to this project. Compliments OSF on making themselves available with the trajectory to do the project. The thing he's objecting to is the home was built to face the south, and that is pretty much the focal point and the entry of the nursing home. In hoping that he could maybe acquire it, that would give him some additional protection with the land that was around there. It's in an L shape. And he just like the residents to enjoy the life and the living and the looking and all the things that go along with the purposes of why we built the home the way we did. The trees are out and back, and yes, there might be a room or two back there that doesn't get the view that the front rooms do, but as you have the Y, and then you have another Y and another Y, it was done that way so there'd be maximum visibility. So again, I don't know other than some rent that OSF is gaining from this project, but I think there's some other green space that could be had. I think there's perhaps some zoning changes that might be offered, and there's certainly a lot of green around OSF. But anyway, I speak on his behalf here this evening. He could not be with you. He had a commitment with his work. He is from Chicago, but comes down here almost every day. His objection is the panels that go to the south, that are in the front of the home, what we call the front of the home. So thank you for listening, and thank you for your consideration. Thank you.
Sure thing. We appreciate it. Well, like I said, we've gone through this in several different phases. Any questions from the council? If not, we would attain a motion.
I had a question. Who are the owners of the farmland? Where they
OSF.
have to have the setback, 25 foot instead of 50?
Isn't that OSF?
No, OSF owns the land. But
Right.
the adjoining property owners, I don't know who they are. They would have received notice, but they didn't
Yeah.
appear.
Okay.
You mean the setback to the farmland?
Right, I mean,
Yeah.
because they're going, making the 25 foot to,
Yeah.
I was just wondering what, didn't get to hear from them.
Otherwise, this is a joint trajectory, OSF.
The neighbors, all the neighbors are listed in this packet on the back.
Oh, okay.
And they filed no objections
Okay.
to any of the setbacks and proposals. So, with that being said, we would entertain a motion.
Are we making one motion for all
Yes.
subjects? Okay. I would make a motion acceptance of ordinance 2024-0004.
I'll second.
Motion by Kelly, seconded by Jason. Roll call, please.
Bradshaw,
Yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
No.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
No.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Thank you. You have your setbacks and variance.
Thank you very much for your time and attention. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have one quick question. How do you arrive at the name of these projects? It has really no bearing. I'm just curious.
It's a little bit of opportunity and a little bit of alignment with OSF that brings to see the heritage. For any of you might
Okay.
be familiar, St. Francis has a history and an affinity with birds,
Okay.
and we thought, given that this is part of our environmental stewardship, and St. Francis is an area that is
Okay. That's all.
Thank you. Moving on, Public Properties Utility Committee report. Mike?
Yes, sir. The Public Properties and Utilities Committee meeting of the Pontiac Council was held on Tuesday, February 27th. Chairman Barr called the meeting to order at 5:30. City Administrator took the roll, and the following members were present: Barr, Bradshaw, Cranford, Giovanni. Also present was Mayor Elvey, Eckhoff, Howard, and City Administrator Wolford acted as secretary. Did a good job. On the agenda was the Illinois American Water Data and Shutoff Agreement. Wolford advised that IAWC gave notice to update the existing agreement and have since had conversations regarding the agreements. The shutoff agreement has been in place since 2007. IAWC is increasing the shutoff fee from $65 to $100 and has changed the review loss tier. Option 1 given to us was 1 to 4 days, $5, 5 to 35 days, $40, 36 to 65 days, $80, and 66 to 90 days, $120. Option 2 was a flat $75 for any, and our data suggests that nearly all shutoffs are paid in the 1 to 35 day range. Therefore, we are better served to choose option 1. The fees are passed along to the consumer that is being shut off. The committee agreed to recommend the agreement with option 1. The data agreement is the cost for IAWC to provide water usage data that the city uses for sewer billing. Currently, we pay $2,000 annually. IAWC has changed their system to charge a $100 monthly fee and 0.0833 cents per billable customer per month, which is roughly $4,436. This is an annual cost of $6,834.23. Wolford advised IAWC was willing to phase it in over 3 years, starting with 0.0633 cents, then 0.0733 cents, and finally 0.0833 cents. The data is necessary for billing, so the committee recommended the phased-in agreement for approval. The next thing on the agenda was public properties review. The committee discussed various properties the city has acquired and developed a strategic plan to return them to the tax rolls. Discussion was held on creating partnerships with community stakeholders and looking into a community assessment with the Illinois Housing Development Authority for services that they offer on building a housing plan. The committee consensus was to move forward with the assessment and gather information. The last thing on the agenda was fiscal year 25 budget. Wolford updated the committee on projects to increase burial space at the cemetery, capital improvements scheduled for this year at the airport, and various park improvements. Then there was adjournment on the motion duly made by Cranford and seconded by Bradshaw. The Public Properties and Utility Committee was adjourned.
Thank you.
There's a book.
Secretary did a good job.
He really did.
In line with that, I believe, comes up to our next ordinance, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So the next ordinance, 006, is the water's usage agreement. And then I believe we have to vote on them separately. Yeah. You've had a chance to look that over. It goes in line with what the committee decided. Yeah.
Is there a tax formulation on the payment, on the water bills and stuff like that this will affect also, or is there?
I didn't quite understand, Jerry.
Will there be any increase in tax on a normal bill?
Oh.
Then, or?
No.
No.
No, so our rates are set by ordinance to go by the CPI or 5%, whichever's higher, which we've already taken action on. And so this would just be billable to the sewer for the data.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 24-006.
Motion by Jamie, seconded by
I'll second it.
Scott. Roll call, please.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Giovanini,
Yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Bradshaw. Yes.
Thank you. Moving on, the next ordinance is the water shutoff agreement, which we covered at the meeting too. Any questions on that? If not, we would take a motion.
I'd make a
I move
motion.
we approve 2024-007.
Okay. Motion by Barb, seconded by Mike. Roll call, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Jovenini,
Yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hauser.
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Cranford.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on, we have reappointment actually, of Roger Walls to the Police Pension Board. Roger has agreed to continue serving and has done an excellent job over the last few years. And I think we would like to keep him in that position. So we need a motion to do that.
I will motion acceptance of Roger as reappointment.
Okay. Motion by Kelly, seconded by Frank. Roll call, please.
Willie,
Yes.
Barr,
Yes.
Jovenini,
Yes.
Eckhoff,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Hauser,
Yes.
Bradshaw.
Yes.
Cranford,
Yes.
Howard.
Yes.
Okay, moving on, we get to mayor's comments, and I was expecting a lot of meeting, and we've had one. I got a letter today, actually, about the high-speed rail and our involvement with continuing efforts, and the group is trying to get everybody on the rail line to sign a document that we're in favor of high-speed rail, and we are, so we're doing that. I did get a couple phone calls on the election coming up, but I didn't feel like we had anything to really talk about, so I just walked away from them. City council comments. Anything good?
This is for Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
I wonder if at some point we could get, I don't know, a profit and loss, an operating statement on the golf course. Does it pay for itself, or does it come close to paying for itself, or where are we on that?
I can tell you that last year, with the debt service, we transferred $30,000 from the golf course. Doesn't look like if things go according to plan this year that'll be necessary. Last year was a very good year for the course, and it looks like it should be able to handle its employees and all of its debt service and operational costs.
How many more years do we have left on the debt service?
13.
13.
I hope to keep playing that many years too, so we'll see how that works. Yeah. Any other comments? I think Jim has some announcements for us on meetings.
Yep. So next Monday, Infrastructure Committee at 5:30.
Monday?
Tuesday, I'm sorry.
Tuesday, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next Tuesday, Infrastructure Committee at 5:30, followed by a Committee of the Whole at 6:30. And if necessary time, that will adjourn to Wednesday and Thursday.
You said the committee of the whole is at 6:30?
Correct.
Is that just on that night?
On
On the 12th? What about the 13th?
the 13th, I would expect we're going to need to have that committee as well on the 13th.
But I mean at 5:30 or 6:30?
Oh, yeah. So we go back to 5:30
Okay.
on Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Since I will be calling in, Jim, will this be video or just phone?
It's your call. I think it's probably in here set up easier to do the video.
Okay. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
I just was,
If
if
we have, we'll have.
I mean, I can do video. I just,
Yeah, we'll have another plan too, just in case technology isn't
Okay.
not nice to us that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're all 5:30. They're all at
Except the
5:30.
first.
Yes. The infrastructure is 5:30, and then the committee of the whole will start after it, 6:30 on the Tuesday.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that,
then coming up, just to keep your calendars aware, Wednesday, March 20th will be the Finance Committee at 5:30.
What day?
That would be
20th at 5:30?
the 20th at 5:30.
That's the Finance Committee.
Finance, yes.
Okay.
And the plan is Monday, March 25th for the City Council special meeting at 7 PM for budget approval.
did you have something scheduled on the 19th?
Election.
Well, something besides, yeah, I know that.
Okay.
That was
what
one of your
happens on the
suggested
It was
20th?
one of, yeah, it was.
That was just
yeah,
one, okay,
right, but
so
no,
it was decided that the
20th.
20th, okay,
Yes.
good, thank you.
We're going to get a formal invitation.
Of course,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
okay.
Agendas will come out. I just wanted to give you the budget season ahead of time, so
What happens on
it
the
makes it
25th?
easier sometimes than to try and go as close
Special
as
meeting for all
possible.
of us.
At what time?
Budget.
Finance.
Seven.
Finance?
Okay.
Wednesday.
In other words, the next 2 weeks are going to be budget, budget, budget.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Jim's bringing in cots.
Yeah.
Well, we have the,
That's next year.
well, we have the city engineer and Chris.
Yes.
Yes.
At the infrastructure?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's the primary purpose of it.
Yeah. Okay. Are you,
That's it.
okay, public comments? Please, stand up, come to the podium.
My name is Tom Hale. I'd like to ask Mr. Uphoff a few questions. You're coming in and putting this system in, and how long do you plan it to last? How long do you plan the solar farm to last?
Well, the panels have a warranty life of around 25 years. Right now, the project is hoping to go 40 years.
40 years. So after 40 years, and God forbid you go out of business or something happens and it's no longer viable to have this solar farm out there, who's going to clean it up?
Well,
Who's going to take down everything that you put there?
Part of the ordinance that was approved is a decommissioning bond, and that has to be reviewed every so often, so that there's publicly bonded with the city, so that if the company doesn't remove the project itself, then there's bond money there to use to remove the project.
Excellent. You answered my question. Thank you.
Take care. Any other comments? If not, we will take a motion to adjourn. So moved by Frank, seconded by Scott. Do we want to roll call it? Or no? Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
I mean, I can, I just.